Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Menomonee Falls Public Library Board of Trustees monthly meeting. The day is Wednesday, January 15th, 2025, and the time is 6:07. And I call this meeting to order. First, we can do roll call. Nicole Barker, President.
Tom Ewig, Secretary Treasurer.
John Soper.
Ann Lesolo.
Matthew Forner.
Carol McGivney.
David Munoz.
Ellen Rohr.
Jacqueline Romer.
All right, next we have public comment, but there is nobody here, so we will skip over that. So next we have the consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda will be approved in one motion unless any board member requests that an item be removed for individual discussion. That item can be considered at an appropriate time during the board's regular order of business or under new business. We have the minutes of the last regular board meeting and the bill approval for December in the amount of $275,298.42.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second. I have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion?
I would actually I'd like to remove the children's refresh, anything that has to do with that, because I'd like a little bit more information on that final bill and what ended up happening with everything, because there was a whole lot of mess ups from that company, and did we pay them full price for everything? Because
So should we remove that?
I'd like
to
that
talk about
removed
it
so we
later?
can hear a little bit more about that, because they messed up a whole lot of stuff over there, and if we paid them full price for that, I'd like to discuss that.
So the consent agenda is just going to be the minutes then?
So, yep, so we can move the children's stuff over to the new business.
Yep, that'll be,
All right.
motion to approve the consent agenda with the minutes of the last regular board meeting.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes of the last regular board meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any, any opposed? I went blank, sorry. Motion passed. All right, next we have the Policy Review Committee. So we just met actually right before this meeting. We were discussing the makerspace policy, and we started on the collection development policy, but that got tabled till next time, so we'll be just continuing that discussion. We did not get very far on it, so. Otherwise, I think we have some stuff coming up soon that will be coming to the full board, so.
Yeah, we also did the makerspace one, which we had revisions to, so we'll have to present that
Yep.
with the revisions once.
That's coming
Yeah,
in.
that should be in
February.
February. Yeah, that'll be next month.
Yeah. Any
If
questions?
I can, I thought, I looked at the collections one, it's my fault because I kept talking in the meeting, but I think that it's big, and I think we're going to kind of take it a little bit more piece by piece to try and get through it, because there's a lot to it, and it's important for me, at least as a board member, to understand all of the legal aspects of it, because it is complicated, so.
Yeah. All right. And then we have the Special Events Outreach and Fundraising Committee.
Yeah, so we have our first meeting is happening next week, Wednesday. We're finalizing the exact time, but it's going to be in the late afternoon. Of course, everyone is welcome to attend. We're going to be discussing National Library Lovers Month, which is February, and National Library Lovers Day is February the 14th, so Valentine's Day, which is exciting. So everyone is welcome to attend. That again is next Wednesday. That's the 22nd, and it's most likely going to be 4 or 5 p.m. But I'll send it out to everyone via email, and everyone can respond if they want to attend or not. And yeah, looking forward to it. We're discussing those ideas and what we're going to do for fundraising for the rest of the year as well. Kind of start brainstorming that.
So under new business, we got a motion to remove from the table an item that was tabled last month. Discuss and possible action on creation of the finance committee of the library board, which would be a standing committee. Can I get a motion to remove that item from the table?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor of removing the tabled item for creation of a finance committee of the library board, say aye.
Aye.
This is the copy from 2023 of the original synopsis that you made for the finance committee.
All right. So then, next we have discussion and possible action on creation of finance committee of the library board, a standing committee. Can I get a motion to approve the creation of finance committee of the library board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. Any discussion?
I'd be interested to know why we want to do this.
Well, I can tell you my reasons, and I think what we get at these monthly meetings is really not enough to give us an idea of what we're truly spending money on. It's nothing like when I'm on the village board. I actually know the breakdown of what we're spending money on. So for me, I would like to delve into it.
Delve into it in the finance committee.
Yes.
So that way we can kind of piece it together more, get a better picture. I mean, the meetings that we have here, we kind of just briefly
Well, I
glance
think,
over it and,
I think the reason we do that is because it would take a lot of time to delve into, and I
Yeah.
think a smaller group than presenting the important highlights, but at least then having, the board, at least members of the board understanding and able to present things like, we took off the build items so we can understand a little bit more. That could have been discussed in a finance committee rather than here, but we'll discuss it here, that kind of thing.
right.
So
So
you-
we will still get the full, like what we always get, the financial report, and we'll still be voting on, the monthly bills and everything as a full board. Just, I think the financial committee would be more to delve into what we're actually spending on, where we could improve, or maybe areas that we maybe need to spend a little bit more on.
I think in most boards, you would have a finance committee, and their job is to kind of help direct the president and the finance directors by giving them guidance or being sounding boards where they can go into more in-depth and discussion, provide strategies and approaches, and kind of chew those out so that when it comes to the full board doesn't have to delve into that. And that's fairly common in most, so I was surprised to see that it wasn't already a standing committee, so it's good to see that it was suggested.
So it's one of the issues that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically, and,
Yeah. It's not everybody's favorite topic either. It can get very boring.
yeah, and
But is important because
It
it's one of the main reasons that we have a board, right? Is
Correct.
to discuss budgets and things like that.
Yep.
Okay, so, thank you for that input. I appreciate that.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
I would vote no.
I guess the other thing is, as having heard what the village board was suggesting that we do in the last meeting related to them suggesting that we cut our budget, we at least need to have a group that comes together and talks about it so we have a sound explanation as to why we are. And not that isn't happening. And please don't take me saying that's what we need to do, but it would provide a little bit more authoritative backing, knowing that the board has a committee that specifically talks about that when they go to the village board to present our budget. Yeah, we looked at the things you asked about in detail, and right now, you're on your own. I mean, we don't really have that much other than looking at the purchases that we do. We really don't have the detail and behind the scenes look at what that's about. So that would be another.
But would you not agree, John, that we could do that if we had the time to do that? We just, you
I
all
see what
seem
you're
to be
saying.
saying it could
So-
take hours to delve into all the things that we need to delve into.
Right, so the other option is that we just extend these meetings a little longer to do those kinds of things. And so I guess this is one way that most boards that I've been a part of avoid that, because there's so much business that a board usually has.
And it's the same reason we have a policy committee. It's the same reason we have an events committee. It's this, that not burdensome, but it provides that area to get into the details and then to present back to the board, so that way we as a board are using our time the best while we're meeting.
Okay, so yes, and I appreciate everything that you're saying, and especially with the policy meeting, the policy committee and the events committee. Yet I feel like finance is one of, like I said, is one of the key things that we have this library board. Not to say policy and events aren't important, but so bear with me, as I always do, I've written something out. So I would vote no to a finance committee. Transparency has always been important to me. Because of that, I believe that conversations about budget, finances, and expenditures should remain at their most fundamental level on up as part of our library board meetings in front of the camera and microphone. It's good that we allow patrons and taxpayers to hear the entire conversation about any issue, not only the findings and recommendations of a committee, and that's thanks to Falls Cable Access and our live streams and videos. I've thought about our conversation about Libby and Hoopla. That's going to be an important conversation this year with regards to our budget. And as a library board, I feel we need to factor in those costs with the wants and needs of the library and how it will affect the budget. Again, I think it's important for all of us to be in on that conversation from the very beginning so that we can get answers to any questions, debate and discuss as a board right from the start, and then make recommendations based upon our own personal insights up from all that information that's been gathered on the situation. So I had an idea, understanding that time is part of the issue. Could we not have budget workshops like the village does, but on a quarterly basis, separate from our library board meetings and different from the village? Ours would be allowed to, the public would be able to attend, and if Falls Cable Access is available, they could be videotaped and live streamed. So long story short, I'm concerned about transparency, and I'm concerned that, so to be very honest, finance is not my strength. But I want to learn about it. I want to hear all of the story and not just part of it. And I think we all need to hear all of the story and not just what's presented by a committee. So this is why I would vote no.
Everyone's welcome to come to the meetings.
They are open to the public,
Yeah,
all
anybody
of them.
wants to come, can come.
But it's not
But it
as
takes,
convenient.
it takes time to sit and understand this, so I want to be involved in it. I want to be able to make truly educated decisions and be able to present back to the village board sensibly and knowledgeably about what, what we are spending on different items and understand. I've been digging into the minimums. I feel like I'm understanding that better. But having a monthly meeting where we all come here, it's just not enough. And anything that we discuss, that we find out, is always going to come back to the entire board anyway. So people are everyone can go on the camera and still hear what we've discussed. So notes will be taken.
I agree. I think that
Jackie will be
everything
there.
we've discussed in committees has all come to the board, and
Yeah.
you guys see what we have discussed. Plus, we'd also discuss it, in our reports every month for the committees.
And I hear everything you're saying. I just sometimes think there's pieces to a puzzle that I may want to pick up on, but aren't maybe necessarily talked about when it comes to the board. And yes, I could attend that committee meeting, but I feel like it's a conversation that we as an entire board should be having. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be steered on this one, but this is how I feel.
No, and I appreciate your perspective, because I had not really wrestled with it from that angle, so I do thank you for
Thank you,
stating
Doug.
that.
Could I ask a few questions? This has been really interesting. Anne, you mentioned that you get different reports at the village board
Ours
level.
they're broken down more.
Is it the same ones that are online?
Yes, yeah.
I feel like we follow the same template as the.
The ones that are online are just expenses, aren't they?
Like
Yeah.
Amazon can be an entire page.
They get line items, so every single thing that they buy, so like, that would be.
Yeah, and and we get, we just sat through a committee meeting last month where we sat down with the finance director and the public works, and we spent another hour and a half after our meeting going over how the budget for the public works is going to be utilized. So I don't think our meetings here need to be that extensive, but we may go down the road, we may decide that, hey, we don't even need this meeting anymore, but in my perspective, I would like it because I want to understand better.
Yeah.
So that's
certainly
that's my reason.
But the expenses, the checks that are written come right from the same software.
So it should be like what you're
I
seeing
mean, it
on
doesn't
ours.
say 7 pencils and 15 whatevers.
Right.
Right.
You know, that detail's not there.
But whatever's inputted in the description, that all of that is exactly identical. So I'm not sure in committee how much more we would be able to.
I mean, so I'm
'Cause
gonna be
it-
honest and say that part of the job of the finance committee is oversight,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And what it really comes down to is understanding how the dollars are spent. And if we need to start budgeting for, we're gonna be losing X amount, that's on the committee to work with you guys to understand how the money's being spent, understand where the money's being spent. If we can find it for cheaper, we need to start doing it for cheaper, but we don't even know where, we don't know if you're buying 24 packs of pencils or 200 packs of pencils. Again, that's where that piece and understanding how the finances are working to be able to say, hey, yes, we are using every dollar appropriately the way we need to. I'm not saying we're not. What I'm
Right.
saying is I don't know if we have that understanding as a committee. And then not only that, but things like, and again, this is my experience with the finance committee as well, is I come in from a financial side where, who runs the 403B? That goes to a committee and then goes to the board, so you can weed out the ones that don't make sense, so you can present the ones that do. Same thing with, if there's a payroll service change, that goes to the committee, they do the research, they do all the background information, and then they present the ones that are most appropriate for that particular, whatever it is. Again, that's their job to do the research, to understand, and to perform the oversight, and then present that to the board. And then the board makes sure that hey, look at the budget, that's what this is, and then if there's questions, a lot of people know about it. Again, I'm not saying there necessarily is a problem or
Right.
isn't a problem. What I'm saying is that we don't know, and we need to understand a little bit better,
Yeah, and
and
for-
that's kind of where I'm at.
And understanding the minimums is a big thing for me, because I'll be honest with you, I don't agree with government control and telling us we have to have minimums, like we have to have 20 computers. I'm in here on a regular basis, those computers are not utilized fully.
They were full this afternoon again.
Okay, well,
So
how often? Like, and if someone has to wait a little while, then, everybody has constraints now.
But to be in the system that we're in, there are minimums that are set by it. And I think it just goes back to what I asked last month, and Christmas got ahead of me. I didn't set up an appointment, come talk to you about the questions. I did, and I had the email issue, so I didn't get everybody's questions. But I don't even understand what the minimums are. I don't even know what our wiggle room is. So if
Right.
the village board says, well, we're gonna cut your budget, I can't give you any guidance or any ideas, because I don't even know what
Right.
your wiggle room
And,
is.
and
So that's-
since December's meeting, Ellen and I have been working together to try to figure out, okay, how can we better keep the board up to date? You know, we do our trustee education every month from DPI with the chapters about, you know, this month it's reviewing the library director, things like that. So Ellen came up with a monthly trustee education regarding things like this to keep things fresh. So today she's going to talk about the library service effort ratio, and it's not going to take a lot of time. It's probably going to take a little bit longer than the DPI trustee education, but it's just little things throughout the year so that it keeps it fresh in your mind, so that when somebody says, what's the library service effort ratio, you're not like, we talked about that a year and a half ago, I'm not quite sure, versus, okay, we're keeping it fresh. So we're hoping that that is helpful, and definitely please let us know if it's not, or if there's something in particular that you'd like to hear, but that's just something that we thought could be beneficial, because we realize that this is not your full-time job and you're not thinking about these things every day like we are. So these are things that you have to keep talking about it, right? Or otherwise you'll forget about it. You use it or you lose it. So
Jackie, that's kind of why I wanted to sit down, is kind of where are you guys thinking about this, and here are some of the thoughts that I had. I just haven't had the
And John-
bandwidth to do
Yeah.
that. And so I would like time to sit down and learn about that so I can provide you a little bit.
And John, I think your concerns were valid ones, and I think I mentioned last month, I think it would be good to discuss them as a board, because maybe others of us have the same questions. I think my biggest concern is that a finance committee will present an overall picture of what they feel we need to know as a board. And then I'm to vote on the finance committee's recommendation. Yet I'm afraid that there may be other pieces to that puzzle that I needed to know about in order to make a good decision for myself personally. And I feel that's what's going to be lost if we do just a finance committee and don't have conversations here as a board, or as I suggested, perhaps a quarterly workshop that we can all get together and discuss all these issues that are a concern to you, John, and also myself too. As I say, finance is not my strength. So, and I know I can come to the meeting. I just feel that it's more important that we do this as a board and not as an individual committee. But that's
If
all
I
have
can
to say.
also add, we used to have a finance committee, that's the, and I don't remember when it stopped, but the reason why it stopped is all the board members were coming to the finance meeting. So why have two meetings when you can have one?
That makes sense.
Well, I think in respect
I think
for-
that goes two ways too, is like, you can get more in-depth when you have one singular focus.
Yeah.
And you can take an hour to talk about it, whereas in these meetings, we have like, what, 10 minutes maybe?
But we-
Yeah.
We don't have to have.
So,
Well,
so
and-
arguably, we did the pendulum thing, right? We went, oh, we're gonna have a finance committee, and then, oh, we're not gonna have a finance committee. So now we need to find something in the middle, because I think what was being done in the finance committee is now being lost where we are right now, and we need to find something that's gonna be in the middle. And for me personally, I think it's at least starting back with the finance committee and finding
I
out
agree.
that focal point. And if all of us show up, then great. Then all of us show up and we're having a finance committee, not necessarily a committee, but a finance workshop. You know, great. But I think we need to have something set in stone that's for finance only.
I agree.
And really get into that.
And we might have a couple of meetings and go, we're good.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Who knows?
It's
But-
not something that necessarily needs to be always, but I think for us to bring the pendulum back to the middle, we need to start somewhere, and I think this is where it starts.
So we could call it a workshop. We
Sure.
could all gather together, as I'm suggesting, instead of it just being a committee of 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It should still be a committee, in my opinion.
Right, because
You make it a committee, whoever wants to come, comes.
I think-
Like, that's just how, like,
All
I
board
don't-
members could attend.
yeah.
I think
now
because
we're
it
on-
leaves it open that everybody can attend, but there are designated members to it, that there's gonna be more efficiency by knowing that 4 people are required to be there, than hope that everybody shows up.
So 4 is the number on your
I'm
committee?
throwing out a number.
I'm thinking
throwing out a
if there's
number.
4, we might as well all be there, so.
I'm just, again, I'm
Everyone can
throwing out
come.
a number. It could be 3, it could be 2.
Who would chair the meeting?
I,
Okay.
as the treasurer.
Yes.
I say we just vote on it.
I still vote no, but that's fine. I've spoken my piece.
Okay.
I also want to say every board is different, and I have changed, I've worked here 11 years now. I've changed reports a gazillion times, so if you're not getting enough information, I can manipulate data any way you want.
Okay.
It's just gotta, you just gotta tell me you don't like it, or it's not enough detail,
Yeah.
or, you know.
I want to say, Ellen, this is in no way
Oh,
reflective
I'm
of the job you've been
fully aware of
doing.
that.
I just want you to know that. This is in no way
I'm not
reflective of
taking
that.
offense.
It's, okay, I just wanted to make sure, because it's not in any way that, because there, to Ann's point, we could go through 3 meetings and find out, hey,
You need to understand, and
Yep.
and if I'm not giving you what you want, I'm just saying, tell me what you want, because I can't read your mind.
Yep.
And
Because 2 boards ago, they only wanted the minimum, you know, they
Mhm.
didn't want, they want hands off. You know what you're doing, that's the way it is, but it's an entirely different board now, so.
Right.
Would
And
there
I
be
think
an
it-
agenda? Ann, you mentioned, and I know this, some municipalities are talking about challenging the minimum standards. That's definitely something that we would all need to be part of that conversation. Will there be an agenda for the finance committee?
yes.
Of course.
So we'll
Absolutely.
know what the topics are going to be at each meeting.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It'll be just like all the other committees. We all have the agendas posted beforehand.
And it will be-
Everybody goes out, it'll go out to everybody, just like it does now.
I'm still no, but, so it would be in depth. It would say, we're going to be discussing minimum standards, or we're going to be discussing. Okay. Well,
Yep.
Okay.
I have a brief comment that I'll vote whatever with the majority, and largely because I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I don't want to vote first and vote yes if I don't know if I'm going to be able to attend this committee.
Sure.
Right. I'll just give an example today that I was supposed to be at a curriculum committee meeting, but I came to policy because I've committed to policy, right? And so, and I think that commitment's important, so I was at policy instead of curriculum, for the district, I mean. And now I'm here, so, you know, I'll defer to the majority on this. District has a finance committee, but I'm generally interested in public monies and how they're distributed. But like I said, I don't know if I can personally commit to a finance committee, but I understand what people are all saying.
And you probably understand that better than, at least me, I can't speak for other people. And so my whole point that I do want to be a part of the committee is I really want to understand it. And you understand it, I hear how you talk. So for me, this is really a learning curve.
Yeah, and I don't understand it nearly as well, because, I mean, I understand school finance very well. And I know there's a very big difference in terms of the do's and don'ts in our fund accounting systems and Fund 38 and 39, things that I know really well. I will read the notes, you know, if a finance committee is voted in, I will read it in detail. I'm very curious.
And we'll present it at every meeting.
You know, I'm
so
I'm
everyone's
very
gonna hear.
curious about it if in fact the committee comes through, largely because I can compare it to that which I know.
Yeah.
That's my input.
Tommy will read it. Not
Do you
me.
have any other questions, Jackie? I know you had some stuff written down, so I just want to make sure that you're heard.
No, I think we covered everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or discussion? All right. All in favor of creating a finance committee, the library board, which will be a standing committee, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
No. Thank you.
And I'll go with majority.
Okay. 6-1. Yep, motion passed. Next we have the trustee education.
Were we gonna talk
Oh,
about
that's
that?
right.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. And I even
Yeah.
have it written down, sorry. All right, so next we'll talk about the bill.
So I had it pulled specifically just because I want to know what resolved from the children's refresh project. Because, I mean, that sounded, is it done?
I'm assuming you're talking about the contractor that we worked with for the children's program room, countertop, sink, cabinets, and then
Yeah.
the desk.
Yeah.
It was done.
Right.
It
Did we
was-
pay them?
What do you mean it was done?
It was done, everything was completed. I think when I gave you the tour, I explained to you that they actually built the top with the wrong design.
Yep.
But at that point, we installed it anyway because we needed a desk.
Right.
And it would work, but it wasn't ideal. Shortly after it was installed, the wood started cracking and it started creating some pretty large cracks in the desk.
Right, I remember we were looking at that.
Yes.
On the side.
So I talked to the company and they are in process of creating the new top for the desk, which is the original design that we wanted, which was full laminate all the way to the edge, which without the wood inlay, which is what we were concerned about, which is why we wanted the full laminate all the way to the edge with no additional cost. And they did give us a discount for all of the issues that we had the first time around.
Good.
So, and we did not pay anything extra with the cabinetry, sink, countertop in terms of the issues that we had with that, the multiple sinks, the multiple faucets that we had to go through. So the company has been very good at honoring our contract, taking care of the mistakes. So we're very, very hopeful, fingers crossed, that within the next few weeks, we will have the correct new tops installed and we won't have any of those cracking issues. We just hope very much that the integrity of the base of the desk stays intact as they put that new desktop on. And then that will be the end of the project.
That was what I wanted to know, and that just,
That's fine, yeah.
yeah, that was exactly what I wanted to know, because
Yeah.
I know that was so incredibly unnecessarily stressful on the
Yeah.
both of you.
Yeah.
That like, I was hoping it came to a resolution, I saw a big number, I just wanted to make sure they honored everything, that we didn't just like,
Yeah.
they didn't
Oh, no.
force us to pay them or whatever,
No.
so that
No.
was just what I wanted to make sure, because that was wholly unnecessarily stressful on the two of you.
Yeah, no,
So-
in terms of dealing with the, getting things remade, getting things taken care of like that, they were really good to work with, so.
Good,
We
good,
will
good.
do a presentation on all of it, once we get the final bill.
Perfect,
Yeah, for the entire project, yeah.
perfect,
Thank you for checking on that, I appreciate it.
not a problem.
Can I ask, what is this bonfire patron survey?
So that is a Friends reimbursement, so the Friends paid for that. So the Friends agreed that because one of our strategic planning goals was to get more feedback from patrons on all of our outgoing emails to patrons and the public. We have a link to our bonfire store, which is our t-shirt merch store, and patrons have a chance to win a $25 gift card to our store if they submit a review on their experience at the library. So there were, I think, 2 of them that the Friends did this year. So the Friends pay for those, and then it just entices our patrons to leave feedback about their experience.
Okay. I see space heaters. Is the heat not working?
Depends on the day. We've had a lot of issues with the HVAC system this winter, but that's not atypical. So there's certain areas of the building that get a lot colder than others. The community room tends to get very, very cold, as we know, with the past issues with pipes bursting. We have to keep certain doors open on cold days so that we have the airflow. We did have some parts that were not functioning properly, so we needed to purchase some new space heaters because our old ones were overheating, actually. So we wanted to make sure that we got some new ones. But that's, again, not abnormal for us.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
HVAC has been a problem for 23 years. And I can show you the documentation to prove that they've been
It's always been
complaining
that way?
The whole thing, yeah. It's basically the outline areas, so the children's program room, the children's offices, the book drop. Boardroom's usually okay, and then this room.
So does it have more to do with the ductwork itself than it does with the HVAC system, with the forced air system?
It's a combination of the HVAC system and the insulation of the building.
Insulation, okay.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah, there
Sure.
was, yeah. Yeah.
Well, should I move to approve the bills, the bill amounts from the month that we removed?
Second.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the bill for last month, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, next is the trustee essentials, evaluating the director. It's coming in April.
Yeah, it's coming up fast. So in lieu of going through the chapter from DPI, I wanted to hand you out the procedure that we have here for reviewing me. And it goes through my annual performance review and the steps that we take. I think most of you actually have been through it before, so that's very exciting. A couple of you, this is your first time going through the performance review. Before the March board meeting, the secretary treasurer will email all members of my management team, so the ones who report to me, with a link to a Google form, an anonymous Google form with some questions about my performance and then a due date. And then Tom, you're gonna compile those results.
Yep.
And then you all will also get a Google form with some questions as well. And Tom will also compile those results. And that's gonna be due about 2 weeks before the April meeting. And then I will also submit to you a written synopsis of all of the goals that we had for myself this year. And I'll send all those to you before the April meeting. And then at the April meeting, there's going to be the closed session for the performance review. So what will happen is, first, you will go into closed session with just yourselves amongst the board. You'll talk about the results from those Google form submissions, and then you will reconvene, you'll bring me in, we'll have a conversation, come up with some goals for next year. We'll reconvene in an open session and then take any action on any matter discussed in closed session. And this is the time when there would be any action on a performance-based increase to take place effective July. And in the document, I talked about the standard step increases for all library employees and what that looks like. It's coming up fast.
I recall last year we missed the conversation about your step increase and where we were going to take that. So I'm glad you listed that here because it was something that I think we didn't discuss as much as we wanted to last year. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Great.
And that's all I had on that.
Okay, next is the library finances, library service effort ratio.
All right, so I chose this topic because it's the one that is most confusing to people, in my opinion. There are two ways, so you have a packet, we're also putting it up over here. So if we do not meet the library service effort ratio, or we don't meet the standards, there's a possibility that the county will double tax the residents. So the residents would get taxed from the municipality, but they always also get taxed from the county because the library isn't performing up to the specs.
Do we know what is it that they would tax? Like, do we know the amount, or what
So
are
what it is residents of
talk about
Menomonee Falls would be responsible for not only paying to fund this library, whatever amount that is, but they'd also be responsible for paying the county library tax fee. So whatever that tax rate is, they would be responsible for paying that as well. So it would be as if Menomonee Falls was not a libraried community.
do we know how much that would be this year, or
I don't have that
Kinda-
number, no.
I don't have that number either, but we can bring it
Yeah.
to the finance meeting.
what is that? Yeah, what is that? What does that mean? So,
Whatever the rate is that the village board approves,
for your budget, you mean?
yeah, no,
Okay.
not the budget. There's a document that the village board gets from the county just before the budget.
Mm-hmm.
There's a mill rate there.
Okay.
It's whatever that rate is times our population.
Yeah, so it's at or above the minimum.
And for the standards, which I chose to do in a different month, but for the standards, if you miss once in a 5-year period, you're good. But if you miss twice in a 5-year period, that's when it kicks in. So you have to be careful not to miss any of those standards.
And that's just for that fiscal year that the tax is imposed, assuming that you can correct the issues?
I don't know that answer.
It would be,
Well, so we fail, we get taxed, but we correct the issues. Then following fiscal year, does that tax levy get removed, or does it continue to be something that lasts for 5 years?
oh no, it would just be the 1
Just the
year.
1 year.
Yeah,
So it's for every year out of compliance.
correct.
Gotcha.
Or the year after the
Yeah.
non-compliance.
Yes.
All right, so there is a calculation that they do for the library service effort ratio. So they take the items checked out by Menomonee Falls at our library by our residents. They add to that the items checked out at Menomonee Falls Library by residents of other communities. Those two together. So,
So it's basically total checked out of our library. I actually
Divi-
studied this. the
and
other
then
day.
divide that by what Menomonee Falls residents check out everywhere.
Yeah.
The goal for us is to get, and that's a slide further on, is 95%. That's our goal. If we are less than 100%, they consider us net borrowers. If we're over 100%, we are net lending. We want to get to the point where we are a net lender, which means other communities are relying on us to use some of our materials.
And where are we now, Ellen?
We are a net borrower.
79.8%.
Ooh, what page are you on?
I'm on,
He's a little further ahead.
yeah.
I mean, here's the hard part, though, is in that, David Munoz, is we're surrounded by other libraries. So I printed it off. I mean, you look at where the Menomonee Falls residents who are in the Sussex School District, they're right by the Sussex Library. We have a Brookfield Library right there. We got
You're doing great, you're doing my presentation for
Oh,
me.
sorry, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
There's a map.
Yeah, so,
Did you have Ann make the?
that's why, to me, the minimums are kind of, this is just my opinion, are kind of silly because they're holding us to this standard, but yet it's not our fault. It's not like like our library's not great.
And this is I don't know what the minimums are.
Yeah, you know, I have this really nice little page, I think, that we were given.
Do we have
So,
it?
It's
This is data
old,
from
Not, you don't have it
2020.
today.
Oh,
yeah.
Here's
But that's what I mean, it's so
2023.
hard, there's so much stuff.
There's so much stuff,
Yeah.
right.
So sorry for getting ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. Communities with larger populations are assumed to be better able to address the needs of their own community. That's why, it's because of our population that we are set at 95%. However,
and we're net borrowers.
we're net borrowers,
Yeah.
right? So on the next page, I did a little graph that shows that only 14,297 items are checked out by other residents of communities with libraries at our library. So you can see ours is a little bit and everybody else's is pretty big. That's the orange on there. The reason for that is location. It's the fact that Menomonee Falls is a huge community, and also because of where we are located in the community. So if we move the library to the other side of Menomonee Falls, we'd probably be a net lender.
Yeah.
So just to use, okay, so my two kids just got library cards, they're excited about it. So when they tell me that they're waiting on a book to come, is that a net borrower thing when they're waiting for a book to arrive that they ordered?
Not necessarily, because if it's a book that we own,
Got it.
then they would get our materials. But if we don't buy enough books to service the holds that are needed,
No, I think they were from another,
it might be a book we didn't have.
Right.
That they got, then that counts against us,
got it.
because we borrowed it.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, I
But we
mean,
don't want to
Get 'em under
just,
control.
which is
Yeah.
wild,
Just to be
because
clear,
that's the
one of the
whole
library-
part
they're older,
of being
they're not-
part of a
they're not
system.
really kids.
but we
That's all.
want to be
Just
part of a
sharing
system
material.
because we want our people to have the books that they want.
Right.
Find it
And
interesting
not
that it's
every library can
making
carry
the library
every single
business.
book.
Right.
Right.
But you have to be able to carry enough to meet the majority of the needs.
So, and just to help me with the minimums, what does being a borrower and a lender have to do with the minimums?
That's.
Nothing?
Well, minimums, and correct me if I'm wrong, are set so that we do, the whole idea is that we are bringing people to our library. Like they're saying, okay, make sure you have enough, books, materials, programs, so that people want to come to your library. But to me, the minimums, I'm just saying this, to me, they're silly, because ours isn't that we're not a great library, it's that we have all these libraries located. So no matter how much we spend, we're still probably not going to bring those people like if we keep spending and spending, I still think people who live by Sussex are going to go to Sussex Library. And I think people who live right in Butler are going to go to the Butler Library. That's my own.
But wouldn't it be the case, Ellen, that if we had the minimums, well, if we had a sufficient number of books, then people wouldn't have to be borrowing from another place, right? So
Oh, yeah, you
does
still-
that
yeah.
reflect on our collection then?
Well, the thing is, with our collection, other people are also borrowing from us.
Okay.
So if we keep those, if our people are done with if the current Patterson book, it might go to North Lake,
Okay.
or it might go to Butler,
Okay.
or, so.
Stupid question, maybe. Where do those county dollars go?
Which county dollars?
The tax.
The tax that they'd be levying on us, What do they go to?
So
Go ahead.
oh, okay, sorry, I didn't want to steal your thunder.
Am I getting ahead of myself
So-
again? or-
No, that's
Okay.
not here.
So, non-libraried communities or the county library tax that would be
Yeah.
levied on us, that gets dispersed throughout Waukesha County libraries based on the usage of people who do not have a library of their own. So we get a certain amount of funding each year from it's filtered through the county, but it's actually the taxes that these non-library communities pay. But
So we get a
we
supplemental.
get a check cut from Waukesha
Yeah.
County for
I
the
get what you- yeah.
non-library residents, that county library tax.
So we get a supplement because people who are not in Menomonee Falls come here. Somebody that might be, a net
Lannon.
lender.
Yeah, Lannon.
Yeah.
We get money filtered through Waukesha County because people from Lannon check out here.
I think we got less this year, didn't we? If I remember correctly.
It's
Not a
entirely
big deal.
possible.
I
That's entirely possible.
I just feel like we got
yeah.
a little less, which is interesting.
I would, essentially, it's to help compensate for the library, people who come from
Right.
elsewhere.
Essentially, the double library tax would not come 100% to us, which is what.
Yeah.
Made it nice and complicated.
So
I know.
the next page is the map, which, as Ann already said, people that go to Hamilton tend to go to Sussex because, they're going with their friends, which are on the other side of Sussex, so, everybody meets in the middle. Brookfield, a lot of people on the south side of the village will go that way because they're going to Target or they're going elsewhere, so they go toward Brookfield. There are some people that like the smaller library, so they go to Butler. So we don't get people coming this way. We have more of our people going out. So what we need to do is keep attracting those residents.
Like the Butler Library, though, you look at, I used to live on that side of town. It's 2 minutes from the southeast side of Menomonee Falls. It's
Right.
right there.
And people love the charming small library
Yep.
atmosphere.
I used
as
to
well.
work there. The atmosphere is completely different.
Is
Yeah.
that off Silver Spring? No, that's farther.
It's
Oh,
right
Lisbon.
down
Hampton. Yeah. If you go there, it looks like a railroad depot.
Yeah, part of Butler actually is in the school district and part of it isn't. So part of it goes to, it's from different school district boundaries. Part of Butler is Tosa and part of Butler is school district Menomonee Falls.
That's great. Is part of it Butler, too? I mean, Brookfield?
I-
No?
No.
Okay.
No.
So just Menomonee Falls and then.
It's like 60-40 us.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, all 1 square mile of Butler.
yeah.
But there's, their levels, their standard, they're at tier 3, right?
Grade 3.
Grade 3, thank you. So their head librarian or director does not have to be certified at the same level as ours. So, compensation is much different. They have a part-time director. When I was there, 25 hours a week was the director's hourly or number of hours a week. So, they have different expenses. So we, in essence, are supporting them, but we're expected to, according to the county.
What do you mean?
So wait a
by
minute, yeah.
supporting that? What do you mean by that?
Well, they can't buy all the Patterson books. They may be able to buy 1 copy where we buy 5.
Okay.
So
when our people get done reading the Patterson books, it might go that way.
out of curiosity then, are they considered part of us?
No.
Yeah, I was
It's
gonna
not
ask.
us directly, it's.
Why not then?
It's not us directly, it's the entire system will send
Larger
them bills.
libraries are, in systems, larger libraries typically take on the responsibility of supporting those tiny libraries that don't have the funds to buy more than one of the James Patterson books that come out, because we have the ability to buy 5, 6 new James Patterson. And so once all of our local holds run through, then they'll be able to take it on.
But Butler's at 228%.
Oh, yeah, because our people go there.
But that's what I'm saying. Butler's at 228%.
Right,
And we're
and why are
expected
they?
to support them.
And Brookfield's at 101%.
But see, if our people
Delafield's
go
117.
there to check out materials, regardless of where it's coming from, they get the credit.
Right. And
Which-
I guess what we're saying is this.
Isn't that
the
insane?
system's gained a little bit.
Right, that
Yeah.
seems
Kind of a guess.
kind of, that's, if we're expected to help them, but we're a bigger library, but
Yep.
I'm not expecting you to have these answers, but like,
You didn't say.
something is
Yeah.
not jiving there.
It's because our residents are checking out materials there.
No, I get that part.
But
I'm
yet we're
saying going
supporting
down to the
them.
point of we're supporting them, they're getting
Yeah.
a 228%, and we're sitting down at 83% or whatever it is. How are we not getting a bump as being a net lender because we're giving or lending them books and we're supporting their system? I would think that we should get at least some reasonable amount of reciprocity, and some of our numbers would look better if that were the case.
But that's controlled at the county level, or is that a Bridges issue?
That's the county.
It's a county issue.
And Bridges, what I understand, is county,
Run.
Bridges is county.
Yes.
It's Waukesha County.
Sort of.
No?
Bridges is Waukesha and Jefferson County. They contract with Waukesha County to be a Waukesha County department, because you kind of need to have like a fiscal agent and things like that, HR department. But they really are Waukesha and Jefferson County. But, so when we say Bridges, really, all of these plans, all of these things, Bridges helps facilitate the Waukesha County Library Services Plan, which includes all of these things. But truly, it is approved by the Waukesha County Board.
Yeah, the
of
supervisors
Trustees.
actually put together a
Yes.
special committee type, and they decided all these things years ago. And it's not due to be reviewed for like another year or so, maybe 2 years.
26. So
But-
they'll start probably
We're
next year.
kind of pushing them to do it sooner, because a lot of municipalities are complaining right
I'm
now.
saying, we're getting the short end of the stick here.
Right, we're at 83%, while all these communities around us are over 100%.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is interesting when you look at it.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
And I can't.
thank you for this, by the way.
Yeah, this is interesting.
This is real, I mean, this is super good.
I tried to make it, I just tried to make it easy.
No, and you
Because
have,
it's
no, I'm
hard.
saying,
It's hard.
this is really good.
It's hard. At the back of your packet is also a sheet like this that, which we aren't going to show up on there.
Okay.
It shows what all of the other libraries are for their percentages. And this is based on 2023 data.
Right, that's what we were saying,
Now
like,
in-
all these communities
Yeah,
are,
I can say we are increasing. I don't know what it was last year, but 2 years ago, we were at 79.
I was gonna say, and it looks like back in 2020 on here, it was, 79.8. So the increase is great. And it's of no fault of your own. And just looking at it going, we're supporting, but we're getting penalized for.
We also get additional funding based on how much we give to other libraries, so there's more to the whole formula. This is just, but it's not part of the
Right.
library surface effort ratio, so.
Gotcha.
This only speaks to what I was talking about a finance committee. I'm so grateful for this opportunity that we could all talk together about this, that we're also here in Falls Cable Access is videotaping it, so it's for other people as well. So this is what I hope. Ellen, do you attend the finance committee meetings?
Yes. I would say I should be on it because
Yeah.
I'm the one that deals with it every day, so.
I would absolutely, I would hope so.
Jackie, are you there too?
Yeah.
So we have the third highest resident use of our library in the county. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're welcome. So the next question is, how do we pull people in? One is programs. One is coffee shop. You know, obviously that's bringing people in. We want to make sure that we keep programs strong, vibrant, new, unique. One of the studies that is out there that programs combat loneliness. So being that Menomonee Falls is relatively rural, there's a lot of people that probably live alone. They come here and they talk your ear off because they have no one else to talk to. You know, so you want to keep those programs interesting so people come. Digital. There are many, many people, and one thing that the county did did it start this year or last year, the digital? To count a digital as circs.
That was with the new, oh, that was last year.
Last year. So last year, what they added is not only physical checkouts, but also the checkouts on Overdrive. So we're going to get a little bump, I hope, because of the number of people that are actually checking out digital materials.
And Overdrive is different than Hoopla?
Yes,
That's Libby. Overdrive is Libby.
Overdrive is Libby.
yeah.
And so they're counting those checkouts for reimbursement within the county.
So is that,
So
that's Hoopla. This
here's
is
a
Hoopla.
question.
That's Hoopla. Yep.
How is it that 77,000 items are wanted from the Brookfield Library and only 14,000 are wanted from our library? What is it that they're doing that's
I think it's just location.
boosting that? Well, this is library lending to other library communities.
So it's
Oh, I
books
see.
from
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Never mind.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
No, I mean, it
was
is-
reading that
it
wrong. I thought that was loaning, but it's not. That's people going to their library from out of their city.
Just one more copies, maybe?
I have to pull that up. Which one
No,
are you
it's
looking?
people going to their library. It's what you're
It's
talking
not people,
about.
It's
that's number of
outside people
items.
going in,
That's-
so they've got
No.
77,000.
No, that's
No,
that
not
is
even
how
that.
many
It's-
items they are lending
it's me
to
going
other
to the Brookfield
communities.
Library and checking out a
Library
book
community,
using
I think that's to
my
other,
card,
like, that
so
would
I'm
be a
an outside
Menomonee Falls
resident.
resident going to
Yes.
Brookfield.
Yes.
Yes.
There's
Book
77,000 other
Checkouts.
residents.
Checkouts.
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 Other,
I don't super.
they're checking out
Interesting.
at the other library.
These
Yes.
two.
Yes, at Brookfield,
This is,
Yeah.
from Menomonee Falls.
70,000 total checkouts.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm just
But that's
saying,
not only
for an
Menomonee
example.
Falls, that's the,
That's not
Yeah.
only
that's-
Menomonee Falls.
The surrounding area, but it's
No, it's
anybody
the entire
outside of
county.
Brookfield.
Yeah, the whole.
is the
Yeah.
total.
It's anybody outside of Brookfield,
Our residents use
for instance, the
all.
number he's
with a
referencing.
library.
So,
In the Brookfield Library that has a library card, say for Menomonee Falls or for Butler, they're using their library card, scanning it in Brookfield to borrow an item. That's what
Yes.
that is.
Yes.
Okay.
That does, is that like when, so like if you go online and you put a hold on something because Menomonee Falls doesn't have it and it has to come from, let's say, Brookfield, is that counted in that as well?
No.
No, it's only when we
Yeah.
go
You
to
go
the
there
library.
and you check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a financial question related to Overdrive.
no, so this is. our-
Yes.
Now, when I was on a library board years ago, Overdrive didn't count.
And this is
In other words, the
residents.
checkout of an Overdrive did not count toward a reimbursement. Now it does.
No, it does in Waukesha County.
And this one.
Okay, so it does in Waukesha County, but Hoopla doesn't count.
Hoopla, it does count.
It
I
counts
believe-
towards our,
I believe it is
Minimum,
counting.
doesn't it?
I believe it is.
Well, then maybe it is.
Yeah, it makes sense, huh?
But it's
This is how
not,
I,
but the state does not recognize it yet for the annual report as a circulation.
But it counts for Waukesha County.
Correct. For reimbursement purposes.
So I
Yeah,
don't
because
have to
Hoopla is
use,
required, so
Right.
at this point.
So-
Are you worried about what you're checking out and what you shouldn't be checking out?
Well, it helps me understanding something when I personalize, so kind of.
Right.
But, yes, but I understand overdrive, because that existed years ago. And years ago, and now you've just confirmed, because there's 72 counties. I was in Dunn County at the time, and we had strong arguments. I was a board president at the time for the library board, that it didn't make sense, because back then, and that was 10 years ago, digital was starting, it wasn't what it is today, but we weren't getting anything for overdrive. Nothing. It was like, why even do it? It was the financial loser. But here, if there's gonna be reimbursement within
Correct.
Waukesha County, then that's really good.
Yes.
And Hoopla there is too?
Correct, per checkout, yeah. I believe. I have to double check that, but I believe they are using Hoopla as well.
That
Because
would
I
make
thought I
sense.
had read somewhere, and
Yeah,
this
I
could
thought we
be
worked on one of them.
in a different county.
Yes,
It's
it
only
varies by everybody's individual library services plan by county. So Waukesha has decided to begin counting that. So if someone from Lannon has a Menomonee Falls Public Library card, because Lannon doesn't have a library of their own, and they check out 100 things on Libby in 1 year, we would receive reimbursement through that via the county library tax.
And Libby is overdrive and Hoopla is separate.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Now, one of the things that isn't in here that we have been, our circulation department has been working on. So Lisbon used to be part of Sussex Library. So anybody that used to, or got their card through the Sussex Library, now is what's considered a TNR, true non-resident. They don't have a library, anybody in Lisbon. So as patrons are coming here, we're checking if they are in the town of Lisbon, then we change their card over so there are patrons and not Sussex's patrons. If they're regularly here.
That's,
So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing an increase.
Are we seeing many of those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's a good project, yeah.
It really has to do with where people work. If they work toward Brookfield
Yeah.
or toward the freeway, they're gonna go that way. If they work in Washington County, they're gonna go that way.
Yeah, I do think too, that's why I know we've talked about this, like what is the future? And like having the spaces, like really making sure we can attract people to come and utilize those as well. I think too, touting and advertising more that we do have the coffee shop with food. So if people want to come here, they can get that. I don't think any of the other surrounding communities do.
No, they don't.
So it'd be nice to, figure out how we can get that out there more to surrounding communities.
I think the closest one is Beloit.
Might be the only
That's too
one.
far, I'm not going.
No, me either. At least as far as I could, when I was researching and doing stuff for when we were talking about putting in a coffee shop in, that was one of the only places I could find even
Downtown
around.
Milwaukee, too.
Oh yes,
Milwaukee-
downtown
yeah,
Milwaukee has
Central
one.
has one.
Yeah.
So another way we can attract patrons is our collections. There has been a lot of debate over Explore Passes and what's in the Library of Things, but you'll be surprised how many people will come from Brookfield or even Menomonee to check out the pass here, which we then get credit for because they can't get it at their own library. So, to have those unique items. There's a library that has canoes because they're right on the river. People can check out a canoe and go. So to have those unique items that have to do with your community. We have several pickleball sets, so people they don't necessarily have to buy they want to try it out, try out the courts down at Village Park. They can just, check them out and say, oh, we like this, and then they can go buy their own. Give people a way to try out things. So we're expanding our Library of Things collection every year to bring those unique things here.
Is there, and again, this probably more so for like a finance committee to start talking about, is there ways where like we could utilize our resources to have some sort of a commercial? Or something like that. Now again, cost,
Yes.
whatever.
That's in the works.
But
There you go.
It's in the works.
I was, all of a sudden I said that and I saw the smile and I'm like, oh. But to promote things like our makerspace and all the things that just aren't books necessarily that we offer here, and spotlight latitude and spotlight all the things that people can do. I mean, yes, check out a wonderful collection of books, but then that added bonus.
Yes, we are planning on doing that, and then hopefully doing some targeted social media ads as well to get it out there. So stay tuned. Things are happening.
That's good to know.
Yes.
So another thing we can do is unique services. One of the things we offer is printing from your own device. That has become extremely popular. So you might not see people at computers as often enough, but there are tons of people using the printer. And sometimes they can't print from their device exactly the way they want to because they don't know how to use their email, and they will then jump on the computer for 5 minutes and then go away. I had to help someone like that a couple days ago because his UPS ticket that he had to put on his item wasn't printing from the phone just right. But it had to do with his email. It had nothing to do with
The
our
formatting
services.
or whatever.
But
Yeah.
let's say your printer goes out at home, you can send the print job to our printers and then come here and pick it up. So many people have stopped buying printers because the ink dries by the time they have to print something, so it doesn't work, and it's just so frustrating that their printer's not working. So we have seen an uptick in the amount of revenue that we're getting from the copies. It's only 10 cents a page or 50 cents for color, but I'm sure that has to do with the fact that people just don't use their own printers anymore.
Well,
Ellen,
My
that speaks
ink is
not
like
only to
the
having
same
the
price as a printer.
physical ability to do it here, but also the staff to be able to understand and be able to train people on how to do it too. So it's a two-part benefit to those people because we have the staff that know how to do it too.
Right. We also just got a $5.02 check for our faxing service that we have. So
Still fast.
I mean, it's not much, but it's $5.02. So, we have that unique service that not many people in the community have. It's difficult to find someone where you can fax. One of the other services that we're, if Carol isn't monopolizing it, is our digital history lab that we have upstairs. We have people coming in, they have old floppy disks that they don't know what's on it. They can throw it in one of our devices and convert the materials over to a flash drive. We have the ability to convert VHS. So are you coming over on your lunch?
I didn't verbalize it, but I said the same thing in my head.
We've had people come from Aguanaco out here to do that conversion. I'm not saying they're checking anything out, but they're learning about our library, and then when they come here, they go, "Oh, this is a cool library," because they live way down in Aguanaco. They may not be here often, but we also just became a Family Search affiliate library, which is a long way of saying people can get materials here that they can't get elsewhere. We've already seen a bunch of people come in for that. Residents of Menomonee Falls come to renew their library card, and they're in here using that service and then realizing what a cool library we have.
What is it? The Family
Family
Search?
Search Affiliate Library. So Family Search is a website, a database, that has tons of genealogy materials in. There are some materials that are locked, that you can only get to if you are at a family search center or an affiliate library. The reason they're locked is because of copyright, and whoever owns the actual materials doesn't allow certain places to access the information. For example, some of the old German records aren't necessarily available to all of the countries in the world. So by locking them down to the affiliate centers, then they can control who's actually viewing them, because you have to physically be in the building to look at it.
But that service does not help us get to our,
It does if people check out books while they're here.
yeah.
It
Gets them
brings
in the
to our
building.
library.
Gets them in the building, that's the goal, get them in the building, and then they will start to do the things that we want them to do.
Okay.
And that goes down to having a comfortable place for them to be. We want comfy chairs, we want clean restrooms, we want, all the things that a good facility should have, because if we don't maintain those things, people aren't going to come back.
It's the same with Latitudes. Latitudes brings people in. We don't benefit. They don't check out books while they're here, but it brings them.
Well,
into
many
our
do,
library.
but not everybody.
But they come and they go, this is a good library, and they start checking out.
I guess it's cool, but I see that it takes us a little bit eye off of the ball of our true mission, and it makes us have a slightly different mission as a library, because now we're trying to get people to come here as opposed to having a place where they can go to get information and address their interests. It's not good or bad.
It's a puzzle.
I'm just understanding the dynamics that we're a little bit being forced to do through our affiliations within the county.
Well, the library service effort ratio, it will be difficult for us to get to the 95%, again, because of location.
Right.
But we can, keep going, try to keep bringing it up. That's the best we can do.
Or get the county to review that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is my vision of a workshop, guys. So this is what I hope we can do many, many times.
So, in conclusion, if there's any specific topics you want me to talk about or Jackie to talk about sooner rather than later, let us know.
The minimums?
The minimums?
Yeah.
How about we save that for the first
Finance
committee meeting?
I have that down for
Like
April,
Oh.
but, because next month is our annual report, so our meeting is 1 week later because Jackie and I will be doing the annual report, and we need that extra time to get it done.
That's okay.
So-
February 26th.
Yeah, so we will be doing the annual report, which is it's long to understand everything there. And then what I had down for April, so Wisconsin actually has library standards as well. And the Waukesha County standards are actually more lenient than the state standards, so.
And we're required to do the more rigorous
No, we're required to do the county
count.
if we want to stay part of the system, but that's a whole
Sure.
nother topic. We wouldn't be able to afford not to be part of the system. Any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
friend.
All right. So next we have my report. The only thing I really wanted to say was I'm sorry I couldn't be here last month. I was not feeling very well,
How
so
dare you get sick?
I know, I'm sorry. My once a year time it's coming, it's gone, so no more sickness for the rest of the year. All right. Next is the director's report.
All right, so we got our 2024 year-end data, and it surpassed our expectations by quite a bit. As you can see, we saw quite substantial increases in a lot of the statistics. We had a 12% increase in Libby checkouts, 27% increase in Hoopla checkouts. Most notable under the technology resources, we had a 79% increase in mobile printing. And we had a 12% increase in visitors coming to our building from last year. So that was awesome. In the next edition of the Storyteller, so not the one that you have in front of you, but the April and May edition, we'll have kind of a year in review for everyone, and it'll have some fun things like what were the top checked out books in 2024 and things like that. But
Real quickly, could we please have something about Latitude?
yes,
in
it's
here?
going in the next one.
Okay.
Yep, it's already, just emailed them today with their deadline, so. Speaking of Latitude, so for my coffee shop update, just had a great meeting with Amber and Daniel yesterday. We have some really cool collaborations in the works. We have a couple programming collaborations coming up, and I'm thinking that's going to be really, really good. Very excited for the next few months. So some really fun things coming up. That's been going well. I'm sorry for the delay in getting you the monthly reports. I did email that to you before the meeting. I thought it was attached, but I realized it's not. I do have print copies if anyone would want one for the monthly report from December.
Oh, you don't have that one.
Oh, that's a new one. Same as that, right?
Thank you.
I have mine too.
Okay.
Get them all.
So it's a-
I got them via email, so I got them right here.
Here, we're just gonna make.
David got it.
Here, I can take them in. I
That's
can-
okay, I'll
Take
just
them
give
over.
it to Shred.
Just recently, like before the meeting.
Was it just before the meeting?
Yeah, I sent it to my secretary.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Any questions about anything?
I just told her to print everything. The only, the faxes are increasing.
That's why we got $5.02 for last quarter.
Who knew?
And then next week, I do have the facility planning kickoff meeting with Mark and Tom from the village. So I've been preparing some more documentation for that. And I will report back once I hear from that. So hopefully that goes well. And that's all I have.
All right. Any questions?
Yeah, the only question I have, and it can certainly be for the next meeting, and it's just the Libby Hoopla financial reimbursal difference, if there is any. Like, I don't think there is. They're the same, you said? So,
Yeah, it would just be so the reimbursement would be the cost per circulation, which is a formula. It would be the same for each.
okay.
So it's a cost per circulation formula that Waukesha County develops to determine how much we get per circulation.
Well, yeah, I think it's great we're getting reimbursements for the digital. It certainly wasn't it's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Of in other counties. For sure.
Okay. Next is village trustees report.
As I said before, we had a special meeting just to discuss Public Works and all of their projects that they're planning for 2025. And then we went into a regular meeting. We had our 2024 capital budget projects presentation. It's a lot of information, so if you're interested, go back and watch the village board meeting on January 6th. A lot of interesting information, but I'd be talking for the next hour. We adopted an ordinance amending the conditional use permits, which basically is just when businesses come and if they need a special permit, would only last 6 months. Well, a lot of times if people were having building projects, it's not even enough time to get approval. So we changed that to 1 year, which is a lot better for new business or new communities that are being built. We approved several new single-family plots, so that's nice to see. Our growth continues. And we approved several people to committees, so just real quickly, we appointed Matthew Hayes to Community Development Authority, and Kathy Hazard, who had served for many, many years and is amazing, her seat was vacated. We reassigned Chris Smolik from regular member to first alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and appointed David Heckman as second alternate for the Zoning Board of Appeals. For those who are watching or for those in the room here, keep in mind that there's so many different committees you can get involved with in the community, so please consider that. Oh, 2 more. We had David Johnson of North Shore Environmental has joined the bid board, and Kristen Sabaka served as the president of that, and she's her time is completed. And then the appointment of Nicholas Oliver of Redbird Security to the bid is called the Business Improvement District, which is improving our downtown. That's it.
All right. Next is school district report.
Yep, several items. Biggest event, those that, if anybody's involved in dance in the community, we had on Saturday, we had a huge event, over 3,500 parents and visitors, 1,500 dancers. I was there for about 3 hours, and I missed it. Last year there was a big snowstorm, and the event was pushed to a different day, so it was very different than what it is now. So I'm very glad that they're able to get this event in. There was over $50,000 raised for the dancers, and this is just my view. It was like very young dancers to high school. I was there midday, and they hadn't got to the high school dancers yet, but it was just great to be able to see our students and other students just going in to do their performances. There was so much volunteering from community members, parents. It's just a massive event. If you've not seen it, it was at the high school. So that's why the high school was so very packed the entire weekend. It went from 8 in the morning till well past 8 o'clock at night.
David, was that similar to like a solo ensemble for band?
Yeah, I mean, I would say
it's.
it's. I'm not going to do it any credit because this isn't my area, but the dance coaches and the parents and the community group tied to dance in the falls was so substantially invested, volunteering their time. It is an amazing community event. That last year there was a hiccup because there was that massive ice. There was a shutdown emergency. I mean, now we don't have any snow, so it's just a totally different. So I was so very happy that they're able to have this substantial event.
We have a great dance program and cheer program.
It is
the
very.
Falls has done very well for years.
State champions last year, so they just so very good. So it was fun to see, and our food service works with parents, and they're working to get all of these things out, and the coffee was even good. So it was great. So that was just an outstanding event, very substantial event. The district instructional leadership team, which is a leadership team that includes me, but mostly our instructional coaches and teachers. It's a pretty big group that starts talking about what's good teaching and good learning. We meet regularly. Reason I bring this up is there's a lot of new curriculum last year that we're now in full rollout with. So we're just really excited about those meetings that focus and just improving learning, which is one of our core missions in the district. So it's a group of, I say about 30 some. There's principals, coaches, teachers. There's a lot of different people in order to help, move the organization along in terms of improving learning. So we're excited about that. The high school held their annual spin night. And for those that have had students, maybe you don't have kids at the high school yet, but if you're in 8th grade and you're going to 9th grade, it's that first kickoff event where you bring in all the 8th graders, but also parochial students and others. So it's not just our North students, it's anybody who's identified that's going to be going to the high school next year. So they have this huge event where they bring in groups and dance groups and band and all these sorts of things, and they explain the environment. They can ask teachers questions about classes. They tour the building. They start to get familiarized with everything. That was this last Wednesday. It's a great event. We're way ahead in terms of you start planning now for what's going to happen next year. I mean, we're very close to being ready with that. And that's how you determine how many teachers and how many classes and all that sort of thing. So that spin night's a very big kickoff or piece of that. Some other big events. I was at a jazz band concert last night. It was outstanding. It's about an hour long, give or take, but just some wonderful music throughout the evening. I intended to also go to the big basketball game, but I just didn't make it down. I mean, the jazz concert kind of went that entire period of time. I mean, good for them. But I know that there was a big Falls versus Hamilton basketball game the same night. Tomorrow night is wrestling if you're interested. So I told our policy committee folks that we got to have a speedy meeting because the old wrestling coach has to get to the wrestling meet tomorrow night. That's me. So a lot of big events, so feel free to come out. Tomorrow night there's hockey events for both boys and girls. We have a co-op team with Brookfield. So they participate at Ponds of Brookfield, I think it's called. Our co-op team, but if you like basketball, there's basketball events as well. So we're excited about that. Congratulations to our business director. We have very gifted, talented business director in the district, Caitlin Windler. She's presenting actually at state convention. So all the educators in the state come to state convention in Milwaukee once a year, and she's presenting. So we're gonna go over there, and I think she's calling the presentation the fastest 44 minutes in school finance. So she does an outstanding job with her team, and I think she's presenting on Wednesday. A couple other things, and then I'll be done. School safety continues to be a focus with Mr. Halverson. Some of you have met him. He's a new hire mine this past year. He's an experienced principal of over 20 years, also a school safety expert, so I was excited to be able to bring him in. Made a lot of changes with school safety, improvements and enhancements, not just with cameras, but also with our common approaches and signage and drills and systems. We did a big common drill last year with the fire department, the police department, Waukesha County Emergency Management, and Freighter. And then you learn things from those mock drills, which we did in the summer. That was Mr. Halverson's first day, actually. But he had done a lot of work before that, and we've made a lot of improvements since then. You go to the drill, you do some things, you're like, hey, I want to change this, fix that, and continue to make the environment that much more safe. We're considering adding another police officer to the district, and we're in those discussions. We have a great relationship with the police department. We already have multiple officers in the district who are very active, and we're very appreciative of them from a school safety perspective. They're good. I think the correct terminology from their perspective is community-focused policing. They're very good. I mean, the officers are very understanding of being part of a community and that community-focused policing, and they're very good in our district as well. Couple of other things. Congratulations to the robotics team. They got a big grant from the state. So we have a very active robotics team. I'd say, well over 30 kids. I mean, last year, they only do about 3 or 4 competitions a year, but they're high-level competitions with robots and programming, and it's quite the little, it's just a great program. Just a reminder to everybody, we have off the next 2 Mondays. There's Martin Luther King Day along with Inauguration Day every 4th year, so kind of falls, that's what Monday is, so there's no students on Monday in school, or staff actually. And then the following week, we have a professional development day on that next Monday. So staff will be in, but students get 2 4-day weeks. Just as a reminder to everybody. But that's all I have, unless you have any questions. A lot of great things going on in the district.
You're so very active. It's so good to hear. You go to everything, it sounds like.
I try. I missed, jazz band I missed last year, and I feel bad because I was in jazz band, right? So everybody, all of our music folks, we have such great music programs in the district, but they know I was a band guy, you know, and if you're a band person, you can appreciate orchestra, which I do very much, or the singing, the chorus, but it's nice to try to move around as much as I can to events and in different buildings. We were at it was an orchestra, or it was an orchestra concert earlier in the year with all of from 6th through 12th grade, all in one event, which was outstanding. It was over at North. But they also did that for the band, so they had all 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th through seniors at an event at the high school already. That was an outstanding event. So they really do a wonderful job with the performing arts in the district. That's not even mentioning theater and obviously other things. So,
Thank you.
All right. Next is the Friends report.
Yes, okay, so I gave you all a flyer about Chocolate Falls. That's the Friends' upcoming Give Back event. It's coming up this Saturday. Chocolate Falls is great. Dawn is wonderful. She's agreed to give 30% of all her sales to the Friends, which in turn benefits the library. I went on their website. They have chocolates, unbaked items, cakes, cupcakes, cookie cutters, and so much more. So talking to everybody out there too, I would encourage you to go to Chocolate Falls and help the library and also have a great time at Chocolate Falls. Our president, or the Friends president, went to Epilogue Books. I don't know if any of you have been to our new little bookstore in Menomonee Falls, and Ross mentioned about a give back event with them. They are excited to be involved with the library. They love the library, so we will watch for a give back event from them. And then Cafe Zupas is another give back event that will happen sometime in the spring. So the Friends continue to reach out to the community, find ways of supporting the community, and also finding ways to give back to our library. I think the biggest news to report is the library. Jackie presented to the Friends a wish list of the different departments here in the library, and that night the Friends looked over the wish list and said that they would support the wish list for $11,504. The Friends have come a far, far way with regards to their fundraising efforts. It just was very excited to hear them be enthusiastic about that wish list and how they could help the library. So that was very cool. February 11th, Ross, the president, and myself will be going to the Madison Legislative Day. We will get a chance to talk to state representatives about the library, so I'm excited as part of the Friends and our library to be going to that. So those were high points.
All right. Our next meeting is going to be Wednesday, February 26th, 2025, which is 1 week later to allow extra time for the annual reports. And we are adjourned.